the Ring Farm people want to see how they're spending their money. So we started with a list of expenditures and created something called checkbook so that they could see, exactly what they're spending. Things were grouped by category, date, and of course the payee and the amount, and whether or not it had been paid. We created the first sheet they wanted us to do, categorize things by the date paid and the payee name. Then we created one where they just wanted to isolate repairs and equipment and show us by date if those things were paid or not. And then the other one we did by searching out in the payee name. It said only the ones with vet in it, so in the payee name, not in the category name, but payee. So you see, those were just Martin's Veterinary Center, even though one of the categories was medicine. And then we created a total of that amount, which you just do with your sum button up here. You can just highlight the column and from top to bottom and click sum. Added the word total there. In this one, we highlighted using conditional formatting the outstanding payments. So to use the conditional formatting, just highlight the group of data that you want. Go to conditional formatting. You're going to make a rule based on highlighting cells, and it had to do with text. So anywhere that the word yes appeared, we were to put yellow, and then it highlighted the ones that are still outstanding. In this particular one, we grouped total payments by subtotals by category. So the subtotal of administration, etc. So the way we did that was you just have to be in one of these cells. I go up here to data, subtotals, and then it's how do I want these subtotals to be grouped? So in this particular case, it was by category, right, of bill. And then outstanding, let's say, with if that's what we wanted to do. Amounts, totals, and we didn't want the count function. We wanted the sum function. So we used sum, category, and add the subtotal to the amount column. So once we clicked OK, it did all that. And that was pretty cool. So it shows you those subtotals so that they can very quickly, the Ring Farm people can see how much they spent in each area of running their farm. In this particular one, we created just totals by month. So when you made the pivot chart from all of this data, it gives you a huge amount of, a whole row of dates that included the month, the date, the year. But you can filter that by going in here to the data, to the groups. Let me just go to my tables, go to group, the group field, because that's the field, and then you can tell it how you want it to group it. You can choose whatever years, hours, days, month, quarters. And so it quickly eliminated the bulk dates and just put in October, November, and December. And you could see how much was spent. And then they asked us to create a pivot chart. I don't have anything called a pivot chart. It says to use the clustered column chart. I don't have a pivot chart. I searched in my help. There's no such thing as a pivot chart in my Excel. I looked all over. I searched through pivot tables, etc., etc. Anyways, this I believe is the closest that I could get. So because I am using Office 2011 for Mac. The last one, we had to create a pivot table, that shows the percent of the total. So we listed the amounts by biggest to smallest. And then the way that you can create a percent of total is you go into your pivot table builder. Again, this is different than what we're learning in the book because this is a different thing of Mac. But you just drag whatever you want, wherever you want it, in your row labels or whatever, and it'll add it in. So I added two of the amounts. down here to the values. And the first one was sum of amount. I mean, I could do it again, and you see it would just add another amount row. But then in order to categorize that further, I can click on there and it offers me all kinds of options. So what I want to do is a percent of, right, percent of total, right there, from the amounts. That's my base field. And when I click OK, it did all the calculations for me. So that was pretty cool, actually. I liked that function. Again, this was similar to the charts assignment in that you got to be careful what you're doing with this data. You can go too far and make it confusing. But I found this one was pretty clear. I liked separating them by sheets. When I wanted to copy a sheet, I just right-click on the sheet and it says move or copy. And then I would tell it to move it to the end, create a copy, click OK, and then it adds, I get that same data again here, and I just rename it by double-clicking. That's a little different than the way that we're instructed in the book that we're using. But I still learned, I think, everything that I was supposed to learn. Was a good assignment.